Welcome, readers. It's good to have you here.
The title of our story is A Ballerina's Dance, a story of hope, kindness and passion. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Roxy. Roxy loved to dance more than anything else. Her dream was to become a ballet dancer someday. One of her favorite pastimes was crawling up to the window of a dance studio just down the street. She would watch the dancers twirl and leap with great joy, trying her best to imitate their movements. On her way home, she would dance along the pavement, and passers-by would smile at the sight of her, amused by her enthusiasm. "Mum, Dad, please take me to the dance studio. I want to be a dancer," she pleaded, her eyes filled with hope. But her parents would exchange sad glances, unable to tell Roxy the truth. They simply couldn't afford to enroll her in classes. "Someday," they would say softly. Roxy would nod, but at night, as she lay in bed, she often felt a pang of sadness. Deep down, she knew money was the reason. After all, her life was quite different from some of her friends. Still, Roxy didn't let her dream fade. Every day, she continued her routine of watching the dancers through the studio window, holding on to the hope that one day she would join them. One afternoon, on her way to her mum's store, Roxy noticed two men hanging a poster on the fence outside the dance studio. Curious, she hurried closer. The poster announced a dance competition, and the winner would receive free lessons at the studio and the chance to perform in the National Opera concert. Her heart skipped a beat. Could this be her chance? She ran home, her excitement bubbling over, and told her parents, "Mum, Dad, there's a competition. If I win, I can join the studio for free." Her parents smiled with joy and pride. "That's amazing, Roxy. You should go for it," her dad said, handing her a few coins to pick up the form. That evening, they all sat together at the kitchen table. Roxy's hands trembled slightly as she carefully filled out the form. Every letter she wrote felt like a step closer to her dream. The weeks leading up to the competition were a whirlwind of preparation. Roxy practiced tirelessly in their small living room, using a chair as her ballet bar and the window's reflection as her mirror. She watched online tutorials, worked on her own choreography, and danced every spare moment she could find. Her parents scraped together enough money to buy her a simple but beautiful practice outfit. On the day of the competition, Roxy danced with all her heart, her movements telling the story of her dream and the countless hours she had spent watching through the studio window. The judges watched intently. Some smiled, others leaned forward as if they were drawn into her world. When the results were announced, Roxy couldn't believe her ears. She had won. Tears of joy streamed down her parents' faces as they hugged her tightly. At the studio, Roxy quickly noticed how different she was from the other students. Her second-hand dance clothes and worn shoes stood out, and some of the older girls would whisper and giggle behind her back. One of them, Zara, seemed especially unfriendly. One day, Roxy found Zara sitting alone in the corner of the studio, her face streaked with tears. While the other students ignored her, Roxy approached carefully. She overheard Zara whispering into her phone about her grandmother being very sick and how worried she was about missing practice. Despite Zara's past unkindness, Roxy's heart softened. "I heard about your grandmother," she said gently. "Would you like me to help you catch up on the moves you missed?" Zara looked up, surprised. She had been so mean to Roxy, but the offer was genuine. "You'd do that for me?" she asked hesitantly. Roxy replied, "Of course." For the next few weeks, Roxy stayed after class to help Zara. She broke down the steps into simpler movements, shared her practice tips, and patiently guided her through the routines. Roxy wasn't looking for praise, she just wanted to help. But trouble arose when a bracelet went missing and fingers were pointed at Roxy. Zara was the loudest voice accusing her. Hurt but determined to prove her innocence, Roxy complied when the dance coach asked her to stay a while away while they investigated. Days later, the truth came out. Roxy was completely innocent. The mean girls, including Zara, were removed from the opera concert team as punishment, but Roxy didn't celebrate. When she learned that Zara's grandmother had passed away, she did something extraordinary. She wrote Zara a heartfelt card. Before the big concert, Roxy's mum surprised her with a beautiful dress they had saved up to buy. It wasn't fancy, but it was chosen with love, and it made Roxy feel like a star. On concert night, Roxy poured her heart and soul into her performance. Her dance told the story of her journey, her struggles, her kindness, and her unbreakable spirit. When the music ended, the audience rose in a standing ovation. Tears streaming down her face, Roxy ran to her parents and hugged them tightly. In that moment, Roxy realized her dream wasn't just about dancing. It was about kindness, perseverance, and the power of believing in herself. Her dance was more than movement. It was a story of hope, love, and the strength to rise above challenges. And she danced happily ever after.